What's going on, YouTube? Chris here. Want to bring you all an update today of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Litecoin, and Digibyte. Those are the five I'm going to have time to get into today. If I get any more time, we'll go over a few more like Link, ADA. But guys, this is what we were talking about yesterday. When we start to get really overextended and we start seeing that RSI, you can see this red line we were talking about yesterday. Typically when we get up into that area, that's when the dump happens. And that's why I like to use those trailing stop losses I was talking about yesterday. But in my opinion, it's actually a good thing that the market is cooling down. We were so high up on the RSI. We'd made such an explosive move. And now what you're seeing is that selling off pressure. Overnight, there was a lot of selling just due to how overextended we were. Our RSI was close to 90. You know, people were taking their profits. Like I said, short-term traders like me were taking their profits or at least using trailing stop losses. And then once those started to get triggered, it just caused that avalanche. But for me, all Bitcoin has done so far right now is go back and back test this $10,500, which we've talked about for the longest time, which that's possible. It's even possible to go back to the breakout point here. And that's the importance of taking your profits when they are staring you in the face, because the market's always going to cool down, guys. If there's one thing you've learned from me, I hope that's something that you've learned. Take your profits when it's staring you in the face, and also that the market's always going to retrace. It's always going to cool down. It has to breathe. Okay, it has to breathe. Now, if we're able to hold this area today, and this on the 1 day time frame, if the candle closed how it was, this would be a bearish engulfing candle on heavier volume. And what we would do is want to patiently wait to see where the next support area is, whether it's all the way back to this 30 EMA, that's a possibility, or back to the breakout point, all that's a possibility. But we'll have to wait to see what happens with this candle today and what type of candle it is. Is it going to be a bearish engulfing on heavier volume? That would be a sign that we may be even moving to the downside, cooling down a little bit more. Because we still, guys, we're still up at 65. Even with this massive dump, we're still up at 65 on the RSI right now. You can see the stock starting to get its cross to the downside. So for me, if you're not in a position, I still wouldn't say, okay, Bitcoin cooled down to 11,000, I need to jump in right now. I would even be more patient just to see if there's going to be even more of a cooling down process that's going to take place. Now, if we're able to be able to get our next overhead resistance, is going to be up over top of where we previously got to yesterday, around 12,140. We hit it, we tapped it, and then we sold off. And then the next area is going to be around that 12,387. But for me, I think this is healthier for the market that we are having this retracement, this cooling down period. We're going to have to wait to see if the buyers step back in, defend this $10,500, or if it's going to be more down around that $10,000 range. But still, long-term investing, you still want, if you're just holding for the long period, you still want to be holding those positions, staying in those positions, because the trend still is up. We're just having that breathing, that retracement period. The only thing that concerned me a little bit is that it's really, really heavy volume. Okay, I want you to pay attention to that and to see if we can get that reversal started back to the upside again after this big sell-off here. Okay, so if we get into trading view, I want to point this out to you here. We still are in a buy category, even with that selling pressure. That's how bullish we were. 5 sell, 7 neutral, 16 buy. Oscillators 2 sell, 6 neutral, and a 3 buy there. And a big position I was playing yesterday was Zcash. I ended up selling out yesterday. Tried to buy them back around $74, and I actually missed it by just like 11 cents or whatever. So that was a little bit disappointing that I didn't catch that. And now it's back up a little bit, but I'm just going to patiently be waiting to see. Took my profit, and I'm happy about it. So next we're going to get into Ethereum. Excuse me, guys. So ETH is still at $360. That's a big move. It's down 6.96% right now. The main area I would have wanted to see us hold as support, which we have so far, is that $286 has been the area. You can see, though, when Bitcoin, Ethereum, all this moves, guys, these candles that they come in, just to give you an example of this candle here, 23%. Either to the upside or the downside that this market can move. You can see how far we are gapping away from this moving average. That's typically another sign that you need to cool down. You need that retracement. Our RSI, even with this sell-off here, is still at 74.44. You can see our stock starting to cross to the downside. We're going to have to see what type of candle this forms today. But overall, for me, the most important thing would be to hold about $287 is going to be the support. then it's going to be about $318 is going to be the area that I'm going to want to turn into support. And you can see right now we're actually fighting at this top area that we got up to around that 362. In terms of overhead resistance, we nailed our target right up there at $417. That was the area that I've been looking at for quite a while right here, and we have hit that. And a lot of times when you tap those things, then you have that big sell-off. But still, look at this price for Ethereum, guys, $358. I'm impressed by it. I'm happy by it. We're just going to have to see what happens with these candles today. Trend is still up. We just had that selling pressure, which is typical when you're having these explosive moves. Okay, so that's why I said don't ever be afraid to use those trailing stop losses, because even this, say you caught this entire move and you were just chasing it up, and say you put your trailing stop loss at $348, somewhere around there, and we have a massive sell-off, then guys, you're still in that profit and you can wait to see what the market ends up doing. I just think it's a safer way to go about things using those trailing stop losses. So that's Ethereum. If you like me covering ETH, guys, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're going to move into XRP next. XRP is back around 27.5 cents right now. It's down 5.49%. RSI yesterday got up to about 90. So typically when we hit those 90s area, that's when we get the sell-off. Overall price made it up to about 32.5 cents. So that was a really explosive move here. Just need to cool down. In my opinion, the cool down areas or supports I would look for would roughly be about that 0.24999. We'll call it 25 cents is an area that I'm going to want to hold for XRP in terms of support. Then it'd be down there around that 0.23585. You can see we're starting to get that stock cross like the other coins to the downside. RSI is starting to cool down, but we're still up at 77. That's how overextended we have been getting. And a lot of times you'll actually stay overextended from about 65 or above up into the 90s for bull markets for cryptocurrency, and you just kind of stay up in that area. So always be aware of that as well. But this was a lot of selling pressure that came in. You can take a look at this candle here. This is our average line. You can see it's more than double that. So this was a really big sell-off here. We're just going to have to wait to see if we can hold some of these critical support areas for XRP. Hey guys, so that's going to be Ripple there, and I am out of that position. I got completely stopped out with the trailing stop loss and everything. I'm completely out of XRP, looking for another great opportunity for it. The next one we're going to get into is Litecoin. Litecoin right now at $56.03. My target was about $53, $54 was where I wanted to see us get down to, and we got pretty close to it here. You can see we've had heavy selling pressure. We potentially have a bearish engulfing candle forming here if we do end up closing like that. Our RSI is down around 63 now. We got up to about 83 before we started to get this sell-off. Stock starting to cross to the downside here. I still wouldn't be shocked to go back to $50 and then potentially get a bounce off that. That is very possible in terms of the moves. Litecoin's move still hasn't been as strong as some of the other coins here. We got up to previous overhead resistance there at about $63. That was our target as well. If you go back to previous videos, we were really talking about that $63 range, and we ended up hitting that. So that's the overhead resistance we'll need to crack in terms of support. Let's stay up above about $50 psychologically, but this is a lot of selling pressure that came in, and we're just going to have to see what we end up doing with this, guys. This is where things get really crazy because we haven't had volatility for a long time, and now you're really going to see this market moving really fast and really aggressive, in my opinion, is what's going to start happening even more. We still have a 5 sell, 7 neutral, 16 buy. Oscillators 2 sell, 6 neutral, and a 3 buy there. Because we're up above all these moving averages, guys, that's how explosive this move was and why we were expecting some type of retracement, some type of cooling down, and this is why you don't chase the market. You know, what if you're buying yesterday at 62, you wake up and all of a sudden it's at 55. If you're playing a big position, that's a huge loss. And that's why you always have to protect yourself in this space. And if you're looking for a Litecoin position, I would still be patient, waiting to see if maybe you can get it a slightly bit cheaper. Just all depends on what's going to happen with Bitcoin and what's going to go on with the market here, okay? So that's Litecoin. Look at $50 for support, and we're going to try to get over top of that 63 as overhead resistance. Then we're going to get into Digibyte here. I want to take a look at that. If you're here for Digibyte, let me know down low. Trying for 200 likes in this video, guys. I appreciate y'all being here with me today. So if we go into Digibyte here, still fighting, holding up on top of this top trend line here. So that's a good thing. We still are holding that, but you can see how we tried to push up again. We actually got over the high. We made it up to 0.02773, which was important. And then now we're starting to get that selling off pressure again for Digibyte. Digibyte, though, is still up above the 30, the 60, the 100 moving average. Our RSI is at 55. You know, it has room to run here. If the rest of the market wants to continue to pick it back up and get moving to the upside, Digibyte really could have room to run because its numbers here, like on the RSI and the stock, are much lower than some of the other coins. And I believe that's an important factor for Digibyte. More technicals here. You can see we have a 4 sell, 9 neutral, 15 buy, oscillator, 0 sell, 8 neutral, 3 buy. And this is where if you're a long-term holder for Digibyte, you still want to stay in those positions, okay? Just let those ride for the longer term. We're still in an uptrend, which is very important for us here. But you can see, guys, I mean, I was just going through last night. We were looking at Zcash was one I was playing. Bitcoin Cash was another one that I was playing. And basically, it's just so important to put in those trailing stop losses because when this market really moves and you're sleeping in the middle of the night, there's not a ton that you can do. And it's just nice to have that safety and that protection in here. But overall, for Digibyte, trying to get over that 0.02768. In terms of support, first support I'd want to hold is that 0.02267 is going to be the area. And let's just see if we can continue with this trend here and see what type of sell-off we have throughout the day. I believe this was just a breathing process, and this trend is going to continue to move to the upside in the weeks and months to continue. So if you get some from this, guys, God bless each and every one of you. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Take care.